Hello and welcome to Newsround, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. I'm Victor Matthias. The headlines. The Federal High Court dismisses case of $418 million Paris Club debt instituted by the 36 state attorneys general against the federal government for lack of merit. National Assembly to appeal Abia Court judgment on Electoral Act. Women protesters agreed to shelve protest for 7 legislative days as House of Representatives promise action. And Russia says the first phase of its military operation in Ukraine is completed. And that's Newsround in View. Now, Newsround begins with judiciary matters where the Federal High Court Abuja dismissed a suit by the Attorneys General of the 36 states against the federal government, challenging the planned deduction of $418 million from the Federation account. Delivering judgment, Justice Inyaneko held that the Attorneys General had not shown enough evidence to accord them the right to institute the action.
Senior advocates of Nigeria and other lawyers involved in the suit filed by the 36 state attorneys general against the federal government, challenging the planned deduction of $418 million from the Federation account to settle debts relating to the Paris Club, are here waiting to hear the verdict by Justice Inyaneko of the Federal High Court in Abuja. The state attorneys general had filed the suit on October the 27th, 2021, with a total of 43 defendants, including judgment creditors. Justice Ekwo had in November last year restrained the federal government from making any deduction from the Federation account to settle the controversial judgment debts until his court's resolution on the issues. Delivering judgment on the suit, Justice Ekwo held that the state attorneys general lacked the legal standing to institute the lawsuit without their governor's consent. The court held that the contention of the plaintiff that it was not party to the judgment debt did not hold water because the Nigerian Governors Forum and the Association of Local Governments are parties in the suit. Justice Ekwo further notes that the action of the plaintiff amounts to an abuse of court process. Reacting to the judgment, counsel for the Attorneys General, Jibrin Okutekpa, holds that the Attorneys General of the states are the representatives of the state and do not need the consent of their governors.
For the very first time, that the Attorney General of a state or of 36 states cannot complain about what is being done to their states by taking money from the coffer of the states to pay judgment debts that the states were not party. I'm wondering whether that is what our constitution says. But every day you learn. I'm happy that this is a court of first instance. There is also the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court.
Counsel to two of the defendants, Mr. Olushola Oke, however, has a different view.
The court did not say that the attorney generals lack locals to institute action on behalf of their state. But he said in this matter, where the action of the governor is at the center of the suit, that they could not come without the consent of their governors, and secondly, they ought to make the governors respondents so that they can be heard, because it was their action that was being questioned. Up by the attorney, by their own appointee. They didn't dispute the actions of their government, they are challenging it. That is what the man called incongruity.
The last probably has not been heard in this matter, as both parties are looking at meeting at the Superior Courts for the determination of the $418 million suit filed by the 36 state attorneys general against the federal government.
To settle over the controversial Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act passed by the National Assembly recently following an Abia State High Court judgment ordering the deletion of that provision in the law. Now, this is because both chambers of the National Assembly say they will appeal the judgment. They want the court to set aside the judgment. The House insists that the clause was directed at political appointees and not civil servants.
The newly signed Electoral Act continues to generate controversies. Parliament is dissatisfied with the High Court in Abia State, which ordered the Attorney General to delete Section 8412 of the Act, which states that no political appointee at any level shall be a voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party for the purpose of the nomination of candidates for any election. Lawmakers view this as a breach of privilege and question why the National Assembly was not copied in the suit.
The Constitution was talking about employed public servant or civil servant in federal appointment or in civil or in state appointment. The court cannot interpret what the legislators do not intend. And our intention here was only to address the issue of political appointees.
I had expected that whatever that the judiciary would do is to interpret, and in the course of interpretation, can still refer back to the National Assembly to say, please, do this. But not asking that the executive to do the job of the National Assembly.
Members of this institution must rise against this aberration. We are not only lawmakers, we must be custodians of laws.
Punctuation.
The Speaker guides the House to take a stand on the matter.
You cannot touch a piece of legislation unless it is done by those who have the constitutional authority to do so. I will appeal from here that the Attorney General should stop and desist for now and not foreclose the constitutional right of appeal and allow the law to be settled.
Leader of the Senate.
Meanwhile, in the Senate, the debate continues from the previous day, as senators toe the line of the Green Chamber to file an appeal.
Since finally believes further that letting the judgment to go without concern will become a precedent on which any person could go to the court and obtain judgment to ridicule the good intentions of the National Assembly as an institution.
Senate resolves to appeal the judgment in suit marked FHC UMC CS 26-2022 for the court to set aside the judgment.
The National Assembly questions the grounds on which the judgment was given and why it was done far away from the Federal Capital Territory where the main parties are based. Terry Ekumi, Channels Television News.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has commissioned the 3 million metric tons per annum fertilizer plant, the first of its kind in this part of the world, built by the Dangote Group in the Lekki Free Zone area of Lagos State. President Buhari says the plant aligns with the federal government's drive to promote enterprise and create jobs for the population.
It's a roll call of bigwigs in the political space, including state governors, party leaders, the President of the Senate, Speaker, House of Representatives, captains of industry, and an endless list of other distinguished guests who have come to witness history in the making. It is big, audacious, and it has to be him, Africa's richest man, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, putting Nigeria on the world map of economic recognition and influence. He's about to unveil a 3 million ton per year capacity urea fertilizer plant. The chief host is the first to speak. He reveals what this whole plant is about.
The new plant will make Nigeria self-sufficient in fertilizer production with excess capacity to export to other African markets and the rest of the world. Our products have already reached African markets and some to the United States, Brazil, India, and Mexico. It is an ambitious developmental project which will drastically reduce the level of unemployment and youth restiveness in this country through generation of direct and indirect employment.
And then a floodgate of speeches.
In addition to the lessons we learned from the protectionist actions of countries during the early days of COVID-19, this investment is again a glaring testament to the foresight and tireless efforts of Mr. President in encouraging domestic production of goods that can be produced in Nigeria, especially in agriculture.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is the plant's landlord, and he tells us how proud he is about the event.
The idea around having a free zone in the Bejuleki area was conceived by our leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I was with him in 2003, 2004, when we took a trip to China and we're trying to conceive a free zone. And today here, this free zone is not only home to the largest fertilizer in Africa, but will certainly be home to the largest refinery, a single refinery in the entire world, come later in this year. And so we're indeed very, very excited that our host community continues to remain home to all of these big projects.
After listening to all that has been said, the President mounts the rostrum to deliver his message, which precedes the commissioning of the massive facility.
This fertilizer plant is expected to further advance our administration's drive towards achieving self-sufficiency in food production in the country. I commend the Chairman, Board and Management of Dangote Industries Limited for their business initiative in capitalizing and building this plant to reduce our dependence on importation of fertilizer, create jobs on a massive scale, increase the inflow of foreign exchange, and accelerate economic growth.
Here are some of the things you should know about this plant. The Dangote fertilizer plant is the biggest in Africa and the second largest in the world. It has been delivered at an estimated cost of $2.5 billion. This is the Dangote fertilizer plant here in the Lekki Free Zone, Lagos. And it's a beauty to behold.
The president also inaugurated the newly built terminal at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Ikeja, Lagos. President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration's continuous investment in the building of long-lasting infrastructure in aviation, road and rail transportation, and other critical sectors is yielding massive results.
The $100 million new terminal in Lagos waits for its august guest, President Muhammadu Buhari, to declare it open. And when he arrives, he's straight to the tent to kickstart the occasion. For the first speaker, the Minister of Aviation, raising the contribution of the sector to the country's gross domestic product is key.
Overall, goal is to grow the aviation sector contribution from current 0.6% to 5% approximately, meaning $14.166 billion US. In the same vein, IATA projects the air transport market in Nigeria is focused under the current trend scenario to grow by 174% in the next 20 years.
To raise GDP is to create more room for passenger figures, as the over 40-year-old Murtala Mohammed International Airport, currently doing 10 million passengers per annum, is congested, bursting at the seams with inadequate equipment for facilitation. So this 14 million passenger per annum terminal will bridge the gap.
We can bring more travelers to Nigeria. I think that more profit to the business and more benefit to the people.
Beyond passenger numbers, creating ground access to the Lagos International Airport is crucial. So the Lagos State government states its commitment to this project.
And so that's why the partnership between the Lagos State government and FAN, representing the Ministry of Aviation, is also something that we are truly, truly, really proud and happy to also be part of.
As you're doing that,
now it's time to sign a formal memorandum of understanding for a 9-kilometer link road. Next, President Buhari takes the podium to state the importance of infrastructural development.
Our continuous investment in the building of long-lasting infrastructure in the aviation, road and rail transportation, agriculture, telecommunications, and other critical sectors is yielding massive results. And the people of Nigeria are now increasingly attesting to benefiting from the associated dividend.
It then moves to formally commission the new terminal, and then a short tour. Facilities in the terminal include a large departure and arrival hall with 16 immigration desks and 8 security screening points. Among the other equipment provided in this departure hall of the new terminal are 10 self-check kiosks, all in a bid to promote seamless passenger facilitation. From the departure hall of the new terminal of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, Bukola Joe Oketumbi, Channels Television News.
Now, still to come on Newsround, we'll bring you more stories that made the rounds during the week. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.
The Channels 24 app means you'll...
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Newsround, coming to you live from Channels Television. It's a recap of stories that made the rounds during the week. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has urged leaders and members of All Progressive Congress, APC, to channel their energies into improving the fortunes of the party in the forthcoming elections and avoid squabbling, which easily distracts and creates disharmony. The president stated this when he received the leadership of the National Assembly at the State House during the week.
In a renewed effort to put the All Progressives Congress House in order, the president meets with several groups, including the leadership of the National Assembly, in last-minute engagements before the March 26 National Convention. The dominant metaphor here is one of focus. The president urges members of the APC to see victory on every side through only one lens.
We cannot afford to do anything that will jeopardize the chances of the party in the 2023 general elections. The limited time frame of the INEC timetable does not permit us any room for delay or further squabbling. We must therefore, in the light of this reality, consistently keep our eyes on the ball and refuse any distraction.
Limiting friction through a smooth and rancor-free national convention is also crucial for the president, as the forthcoming exercise would set the tone for 2023.
I therefore enjoin you to collaborate with the various stakeholders within and outside your respective states and zones to agree to work together and harmoniously in electing into the allotted positions appropriately as stipulated in the provided template.
Out of the meeting, the NAS leadership in a briefing affirmed their support towards a consensus. They, however, assert that the APC and the 9th Assembly have done well in spite of existing challenges in the country.
This meeting with Mr. President has given us more energy. We believe that there is a father, at least in our party. There is a president who will ensure that once there are disagreements, he is able to call everybody to order and to ensure that the family continues. But that is not to say that we are not facing some challenges. We are, but we are squaring up to ensure that we deal with those challenges.
Now, there are many reasons why the APC National Assembly leadership feel the need to get it right on March 26, particularly so that Nigerians can take the party even more seriously by 2023. Now, they have passed salient legislations according to them and cooperated even with the opposition members in the Assembly. And now they're hoping that more members would embrace the consensus view in the interest of peace going forward. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And the women protesting at the gates of the National Assembly due to the decision of the lawmakers to drop 5 gender bills were finally met by the leadership of the House of Representatives. Now, following that meeting, the women decided to shelve the protests for 7 legislative days after receiving assurances that the bills will be addressed within that time.
The protesting women crossed the gates of the National Assembly early and began their chants. It is the first time they are entering the gates since the protest started weeks ago, and this time the security personnel stopped them from making their way to the chambers.
This is clear obstruction of our duties. You can't do this to us. Honestly, you can't do this to us, and it's unfair. for somebody like you, we've been together all this while out there, and you know it. But for you to now come into...
So why are you afraid of us now?
No, I'm not, because you are now compelling us, you want to compel us to start doing things that ordinarily we can't do to our mothers.
Seeing as they would not be granted access into the chambers, the women proceed to sit on the road.
I think the same police is our friend. I think the same police is your...
After sitting for hours, a contingent led by the Majority House Leader Ado Dogua make their way to the women with an urgent plea.
I am giving you our words once again, that while we will expect you to leave the street, we will also give you a commitment that we will definitely look at these two things as promptly as possible. 3 items, yes. These 3 items, we will definitely look at them within a very, very shortest possible time. If you want to take my words, I'm telling you, within 1 week, 7 legislative days. 7 days, 7 legislative days.
The women agreed to the terms and promised to shelve their protest for 7 legislative days.
We are going to take you and the leadership because we know you can do it. You are here before God, before men. You have given us 7 days.
7 legislative days.
7 which is about 2 weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks.
It's about 2 weeks. And what you are asking for us, we understand. You are saying we suspend our strike for that number of days. Our occupation for the number of days. Then we hope that at the end of the 7 days, on our own, we will try as much as possible to reach people in their constituency. We do hope that you would help us to also speak with your members, because it's a matter of voting.
And the Senate.
And the Senate, because we know that the Senate had voted 2 of those issues that you have 3, which is the citizenship and the indigenship. So we only have about 2, which is the appointment and also the party administration, which we are lobbying with the Senate. We know you have to vote again. And we know it's that vote that will determine what we will do and what happens in future.
The women disperse, hoping the Senate joins the House of Representatives in readdressing the gender bills and giving a vote in their favor. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
Now, the role of future-gazing analysis in addressing emerging global trends and challenges cannot be overemphasized. This underlined the submissions of various speakers and guests at the launch in Lagos of the Nigeria edition of The Economist's forecasting brand, The World Ahead 2022.
Guests drawn from various sectors of the Nigerian economy, professionals and captains of industry, arrived at Eco Hotel in Lagos to be part of an epoch-making event. It's the official launch of the Nigerian version of The Economist future-gazing publication, The World Ahead 2022, which gives insight and expert analysis on emerging trends and equip users with valuable tools to respond. This publication is in collaboration with CT Production.
Over the last few years, we fought hard to ensure that African voices get represented within the globally recognized and widely read Economist. Alongside a prestigious book, City Productions will also be launching the pioneer Pan-African edition of our already known Focus magazine. Here we have relevant content from across our African markets.
It's been 36 years since the publication of the Future Gazing Annual in over 90 countries and 20 languages. The deputy editor of The Economist and chief executive officer of The World Ahead, who joins the event virtually, expresses delight at the prospect on offer by the Nigerian edition.
What is clear is that to navigate the unpredictable environment of the coming months and years, you will need to expose yourself to as many ideas as possible. Understand the broadest range of possibilities and take advantage of every tool that's available to you. And we hope that the world ahead will be one of them.
These views also shared by other guests and strategic partners, including the Acting Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, Emeka Ofo.
The federal government is not oblivious of the challenges in the economy. A lot has been said about the challenges, but our Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, we encourage all to see those challenges from the standpoint of opportunities.
It's time to officially unveil the package, which is under an exclusive license.
Congratulations!
Woo! With contributions from leading lights of various industries, professionals, editors, correspondents, and judging by the myriads of topical issues on offer in this edition, readers, no doubt, will have their minds stretched and better positioned to make informed decisions. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
A news round ends with the Russia-Ukraine conflict, where Russia says the first phase of its military operation in Ukraine is mostly complete and will now focus on completely liberating eastern Ukraine's Donbas region, which contains two pro-Russian breakaway republics. However, Western officials believe the announcement implies that Moscow knows its pre-war strategy has failed.
Ukrainian officials say they believe 300 people may have died in the bombing of a theater-turned-shelter in the city of Mariupol last week. Thousands remain trapped there amidst daily bombardments, creating a humanitarian crisis. The head of the UN's human rights team in Ukraine says that monitors have received increasing information on mass graves in Mariupol, including one that appeared to hold 200 bodies.
We have, for example, got increasing information on mass graves that are there. For example, one mass grave we've been able to get satellite information on, and we estimate that one of those mass graves holds about 200 people.
The UN also says it has confirmed that at least 1,081 civilians have died and 1,707 have been injured in Ukraine since Russia invaded the country. Ukrainian officials say 135 children have been killed. According to UK defense officials, Ukraine has had some recent success in retaking towns and defensive positions east of the capital, Kyiv, though fighting continues across the country. Four people have been killed after Russian strikes hit a medical center in Kharkiv. According to local police, the city is under heavy bombardment but has not fallen. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry announced today that the first phase of military operation in Ukraine is mostly complete and that it will focus on completely liberating eastern Ukraine's Donbas region. The announcement appears to indicate that Russia may be switching to more limited goals after running into fierce Ukrainian resistance in the first month of the war.
And that's News Round for you this week. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm Victor Matthias.